Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. I am here with you tonight to share with you the results of another investigation into the seedy world of the secret space program grifters. Namely, tonight we're going to be talking about James Rink, who is famous for a YouTube channel called, well, internet famous for a YouTube channel called Super Soldier Talk. That's right. His YouTube channel is Super Soldier Talk, where he interviews people who claim to be super soldiers and secret space program insiders and more. But James Rink has a real problem. He keeps interviewing frauds that also happen to be child related sexual offenders. And you may have noticed something this evening, and that is that there are no YouTube ads on our broadcast tonight. And this is a particularly disturbing issue to me. And that is that if you want to make money on YouTube using a fake super soldier or a fake secret space program government insider, who never worked for the government, by the way, if you want to do that and also use someone to sell your fake stories that just so also happens to be a convicted child-related predator, you could be fully monetized on YouTube. You are fully capable. You can put all the ads in you want, whatever you want. You can do that. However, if you want to report on people who are despicable, disgusting enough to use convicted felons who have problems in their criminal past with children, if you want to report on that on the same platform, you cannot be monetized. But I don't really blame YouTube for this, because after all, if you had a product or service that you wanted to advertise, would you really want for your product to be advertised on a show talking about these very disturbing issues? So I can't blame YouTube, but I still just want to point that out. And actually, I just realized that I think I have to turn the monetization on. And already I just turned the monetization on, and I just did it. This video may earn limited or no ad revenue due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. It remains fully playable and eligible to earn subscription revenue from YouTube Premium. So the issue here is that, again, I just want to make it incredibly clear so that there are no misunderstandings. So if you want to use a convicted, I'm going to try to say this word as little as possible tonight, a convicted pedophile. If you want to use a convicted pedophile on YouTube to help you sell completely and totally fake stories about aliens, you can earn all the ad revenue you want. However, if you are someone like me who does a hard-hitting, reality-based investigative journalism piece on the people who are doing that, you cannot earn any ad revenue. And again, I'm not blaming YouTube for this, but this is a problem, I think. After all, if these people can use those type of people to scam people on YouTube with deceptive practices, and let's be very clear, if you're using a convicted criminal who's telling fantastical alien stories, you should be required to tell your audience that that person is a convicted criminal who is a kitty creeper. Okay? You should have to do that, otherwise it's deceptive. Equally deceptive is the fact that these people involved in tonight's story, specifically Journey to Truth podcast and James Rink and Super Soldier Talk, not only do they not disclose that the person they're using to help them generate and sell fake stories about aliens and secret space battles, They don't disclose that to their audience. They also do not vet the claims of their guests. You may recall that 2 months ago, we did a story on Journey to Truth podcast, and their use of one of these kind of people. Again, I'm going to try to avoid saying the P word as much as I can. You know what I mean when I say a child predator. That should be sufficient of a descriptor. YouTube does not like that word, so we're going to try to avoid it. Now, I just want to be clear in that 2 months ago, we presented a very similar story, and that involved Journey to Truth using one of these people in the secret space program, LARP, or live action role play. That's what they do. They get one of these convicted criminals who can't find work. And in some cases, I am aware of people like Kerry Cassidy, who has actively found people with those problems in their past who needed money and then coached them on alien stories to sell on her interviews. Now, I'm not accusing them of coaching this person, but this person claimed to be this last guy claimed to be, and this was Michael Stephen McDougall, was the last predator that Journey to Truth used to sell completely and totally fake stories about the secret space program. This man claimed to be Navy intelligence. No, he's not. And Journey to Truth did not vet him. Journey to Truth did not check his background or his military service. But that didn't stop Journey to Truth from 6 times. Journey to Truth interviewed this clown 6 times, and they made thousands of dollars. I believe they have made thousands of dollars with this child-related predator telling stories about aliens and secret space battles 6 times, 12 plus hours of monetized YouTube content where he's saying that he is naval intelligence. And I got to tell you, he has been unable or unwilling to provide any evidence of his naval intelligence claims. As I stated in the beginning of this broadcast, we cannot earn ad revenue for bringing you the truth. But the Journey to Truth clowns can earn ad revenue all they want, 6 times, 12 plus hours of ad-filled, monetized YouTube content where they, the Journey to Truth, are lying to everyone watching their circus. Now, I want to be also very clear in that the subject of tonight's broadcast is James Rink from Super Soldier Talk, getting caught. We've caught James Rink, who is affiliated and works with and for the Journey to Pedo podcast guys, right? James Rink is the primary main speaker at their upcoming secret space program conference, right? And this is where the connection is. So 2 months ago, we reported on Journey to Truth using deceptive practices and a convicted felon, criminal, child-related predator to sell fake stories about aliens and secret space battles, right? 6 times. They interviewed this man 6 times, and every interview, he's talking about being a Navy veteran, and he was naval intelligence and all these other accomplishments. So they had 6 chances to check this man's background. They had 6 chances to check this man's military credentials. They did not do even 5 minutes of vetting of this source, this extremely problematic source, because here's the thing. I believe that most people, most reasonable people may agree with me when I say that if someone is telling fantastical stories and then you find out that he has this criminal background, he's not a credible witness. If you choose to believe a man with that background telling you there's bases on Mars and space battles and reptilian aliens on Saturn, good for you. But no reasonable person would believe that man just based on his criminal background and history of being a child predator. Journey to Truth, I think they really should think about rebranding. It's the Journey to Bullshit podcast. There is no excuse for not vetting people who are your sources, who are telling absolutely fantastical tall tales about space aliens and battles on Mars. There is absolutely no excuse. 6 times these clowns welcomed their audience into their circus of lies, deception, and carefully crafted illusions of real government whistleblowers. Really? This guy is a real government whistleblower? And by the way, just to be clear, in the description of our video tonight is our 2 previous pieces on the Journey to Pedo podcast. Okay? So if you want to get the full story, and if you would like to know just why I am so incredibly righteously angry and disgusted with these clowns, watch the previous videos. Very important that we establish all of this has happened before and now it's happening again, and these guys are connected yet again to another predator. Their primary speaker, James Rink, recently interviewed a man calling himself Metallic Man. Whoa. Yeah, maybe he's like Colossus, the X-Men, right? All right, 1 second. Let me get that back. I have another piece to share with you here. This is the story which we will be covering tonight. And by the way, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us for this incredibly important broadcast. And I don't often really stress this enough. Like any good YouTuber, I often say, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But for tonight's important broadcast, I really, really am asking you to share tonight's video, just copy the video description, put it on your social media. Everyone needs to know what the Journey to Journey to Truth. That's what they call their podcast, the Journey to Truth. You too can get truth from child rapists, from child molesters, or from kiddie porn ringleaders. And that's what we have tonight. This is an incredibly disturbing story. And I asked in tonight's graphics, why do they keep using convicted P words for sources? I called them supporters of that, James Rink and Journey to Truth podcast. Now, it's also important that we point out and make and give careful consideration to the fact that Journey to Truth podcast interviewed the last child predator, 6 times. James Rink interviewed the last child predator, I think, 2 times. So both of these guys were all making money off of the last child-related predator that they were claiming was a government whistleblower insider. With no facts, no evidence, no background check, no vetting, no military records to prove military claims, and more. Tonight's predator is a man named Robert Sylvester Van Rocks. And let me just be very clear, in that Journey to Truth podcast did not interview him. I believe they would have if we did not preempt their plans to do so on tonight's broadcast. And Robert Sylvester Van Rocks also claims to be former military intelligence. He claims to be a former member of Majestic. And he has interacted with different timelines and time traveled. And let's see, he's interacted with aliens and been in space and all of these incredible stories about aliens and the secret space program. It's a terrible book, and you can't buy it from me, but you can buy it on Amazon. And so the interesting thing is that this man's calling himself Metallic Man in his interviews, but his book is on Amazon under his, I'm assuming this is his legal name, Robert Sylvester Van Rocks. And we will get back to this, but let me be clear and connect the dots just so that we understand. And pardon me if I repeat myself. So Robert Sylvester Van Rocks is tonight's child predator. Just so we're clear. But previously, Journey to Truth podcast and James Rink interviewed the last predator that we covered them using, Michael Stephen McDougall, who was arrested, convicted, and served time for being a child molester. And James Rink of Super Soldier Talk also interviewed him several times. But Journey to Truth podcast interviewed the last predator some 6 times. They did no vetting. They didn't do background checks. They didn't check his military credentials, and neither did James Rink. They just ran to monetized YouTube to sell stories about aliens from a child predator. Now we're up to the new child predator that they're using to sell fake stories, and that would be this Robert Sylvester Van Rocks. Interestingly, Mr. Van Rocks was arrested in 2006 for a Class C felony, which was the distribution, possession, or viewing matter depicting child sex. And he had 2 counts of it, Mr. Van Rocks did. Again, 2 counts of distributing, possessing, and viewing matter depicting child sex. Now, I want to be very clear in saying that it appears that Mr. Van Rocks pled guilty to these charges and threw himself on the mercy of the court. And it's also very important to point out that I spoke with the court clerk of the judge who handled this case to verify that this man was arrested for this offense, and the disposition of the case was that he pled guilty or was found guilty. Doesn't matter how he's guilty. He's guilty. Mr. Van Rocks received a sentence of 60 months for each of these counts. This means that these were very, very serious matters related to the distribution, possession, and viewing of matter depicting child sex, commonly known as child pornography. Now, I want to be very clear in saying this. I am not a member of law enforcement. I am not a lawyer or a prosecutor. However, a 10-year sentence for possessing, kitty pics seemed an incredible sentence to receive. So I wondered, does Mr. Van Rocks have priors? And I have still been unable to get a full criminal workup on him, but we will. And we will give you an update on that. But I was very curious and perplexed. Why would a judge issue a 10-year sentence? It seems pretty harsh to me. To some, maybe not, but I just I just know a little bit about the criminal justice system, and a lot of these guys get slaps on the wrist. They get probation, right? They get ankle monitoring for 5 years, house arrest. 10 years in state prison, that's a big sentence. So I talked to the court clerk, specifically of the judge who handled this case. And this was not an ordinary case of distributing, possession, or viewing matter depicting those things. It was a very, very serious case. And because of the seriousness of the case and the amount of the material he was possessing and distributing, essentially a ring, right? He was given a super harsh sentence of 10 years in state prison. Interestingly, Journey to Truth podcast could have found this information with one phone call and one Google search. They didn't do it. James Rink of Super Soldier Talk, who was actually the person who interviewed them, could have found this information about this individual with one Google search. Just search the guy's name. Search this man's name. Look, just to show them how irresponsible and how stupid they are, I'm going to do it. We're going to do it live right now. This man's name is Robert Sylvester Van Rock. So I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to put Robert Sylvester Van Rocks. And this is the name on the books that he's hawking while he's being interviewed, right? So let me stop this screen and I will share the other. Share this tab. So this is just a Google search, friends. And if you put that man's name into a Google search, well, first you find his book on Amazon. So let's share that and read some of this man's claims. In July 1947, a UFO crashed in the New Mexico desert, sparking the biggest controversy in America's history. As the dust settles, rumors began to surface around Roswell, and the questions started to be asked. Was it a spaceship from another world or simply a top-secret military project gone wrong? More importantly, what did the U.S. military discover in the wreckage? And here's where it gets interesting, because this child predator, who was basically distributing kitty pics to his creeper buddies and got 10 years in prison for it, he claims this after spending 20 years working for the Majestic. Agent Metallic Man was retired against his choosing, but there was no appreciable severance package or token of gratitude for his service. That was because Metallic Man faced a retirement designed to destroy integrity and reputation of all Majestic agents. This included hard labor in an Arkansas prison for a crime he never committed. Friends, he pled guilty. And here on his book, he's saying that he had to do hard labor in an Arkansas prison for a crime he never committed. Then he goes on to make some rather fantastical claims. Metallic Man is a qualified astrophysicist and aerospace engineer whose name appears on several patents and patent disclosures. He spent 20 years working in the U.S. government under the waived, unacknowledged special access program known as Majestic, which Metallic Man was recruited into after training to become a naval aviator, astronaut at NASC, Pensacola, Florida. Metallic Man now hosts a website dedicated to bringing awareness to the reality he has exposed during his time in Majestic and to offer insight into geopolitical events. Friends, I did some digging around. I can find, and by the way, I want to freely admit that it may just be that I wasn't looking in the right places. Reached out to a friend at NASA, and it appears that his astronaut claims are false. Aerospace engineer, I was unable to find his education. You kind of need, to be an aerospace engineer, you probably would need master's degree in aerospace, engineering in some capacity. I haven't been able to find that that he had the education to do that. As far as several patents and patent disclosures, I wasn't able to find any patents or patent disclosures with his name on them. But just to be fair and clear to Mr. Kitty Pick Collector, it could just be that the patent claims are under a company name, not his personal name. But what I'd like to know is, where did James Rink prove any of this man's claims? I'm not the one making all kinds of money on YouTube pushing this convicted felon. James Rink did that. He's the one out there pushing this guy as a true and real whistleblower, a former government employee. James Rink, if you cannot prove that this man was all the things that he claims to be, then you committed fraud. You committed fraud against YouTube, against your viewers, and I suppose you're going to commit fraud talking about this pedo clown at the Journey to Truth Journey to Truth conference that's coming up. Mr. Rink, you should provide evidence or proof that this man is who he says he is. And if he is not who he says he is, then you committed fraud. Very, very clear. And that's against YouTube's deceptive terms of service. It's against YouTube's terms of service. It's deceptive practices to get clicks and views. Using a fake whistleblower. And by the way, I'm still not 100% certain that he didn't do those things. But that which is presented without evidence should be dismissed without evidence. There was a time previously where I would really go to the ends of the earth. But lately I've decided I'm not the one with monetized YouTube videos with this man making these claims. James Rink of Super Soldier Talk is. It's James Rink's responsibility to do the vetting here. It's James Rink's responsibility to prove or disprove every one of these claims, right? And the fact that this man is claiming that he went to prison for a crime he did not commit, that's really great. But I also wanted to be sure to share this. If you Google search this man's name, one of the first things you'll find an image of his book, Majestic Disclosure, Volume 2, Retirement. So he's got multiple books, Mr. Metallic Man. But again, all I did, friends, was put his name into a Google search. That's all I did. And I'm going to show you what I found next. This is great. This is from an administrator at the Sex Offender Screening and Risk Assessment Office in Pine Bluff, Arizona. Again, one Google search. James Rink, you goddamn clown. One Google search. This is the quality of the journalism in the world of UFO circus. This is the quality of the vetting skills in the UFO secret space program circus. These guys can't do one Google search. The letter is regarding the state of Arkansas versus Robert Sylvester Van Rocks, and it gives the case number. By the way, I've gotten all the court case documents. I will be putting them on a Google Drive and sharing them with anyone who would like to read all of those. And once you read those court documents, I want you to email me and let me know if you would believe anything this despicable predator of children has to say. The letter reads, Dear Mrs. Flynn, enclosed is a file-marked copy of an order signed by Judge Wright assessing Mr. Van Rocks as a Level 3 sex offender. I am also returning to you the risk assessment and profile report prepared in this case, along with a letter to Judge Wright discussing the findings of the report. I am returning these documents to you so that you may do with them as you deem appropriate. If I may be of any further assistance, please feel free to contact me. For those who are unaware, a Level 3 sex offender is the most dangerous type of predator. I'm going to say that one more time. A Level 3 sex offender is the most dangerous kind of sex creeper. The most dangerous kind of sex offender is a level 3. If you are assessed to be a level 3 sex offender, you have to register for the rest of your life so that people can be made aware of the risk you pose to the local community. And I will ask you then, my friends, if this man is a level 3 sex offender and poses a real and present danger to his own community, why would James Rink bring him into this one? One Google search. That's all it took to find this information about this predator. One Google search. And again, this is the quality of the journalism in the world of secret space program, in the world of UFOs. It's a goddamn circus full of grifters, scammers, and hucksters. How could James Rink not do one Google search before he interviewed this clown? Or maybe he did. Maybe he did. There's just 2 possibilities. Either James Rink is dumb as rocks, which is a severe possibility considering some of the things that I've seen him do and people I've seen him interview. He could be dumb as rocks, or he's smart as a fox. And he knew. There's only 2 possibilities. Either James Rink is a lazy, scamming, grifter slob who can't do one Google search before he goes and sells fake stories, or he's smart as a fox and he knew about this man's history. And he knew about this man's criminal past. And you're going to see that during the interview with James Rink, this man mentions that he got popped for kitty pics. Of course, he brings in the Men in Black. The Men in Black must have put those images, thousands of them, on his computers. The Men in Black must have emailed all those images and those links to all of his kitty creeper friends. It was the Men in Black trying to discredit him because he knows all about the aliens, of course. And let me just be very clear in this. This Men in Black defense that these predators use is well known and established in the UFO community. There's a history of this. Wendell Stevens, well-known UFO researcher, was a twice convicted child-related predator. People in the UFO community all knew this. They made excuses for Wendell Stevens because they liked him, and he told fantastical alien fairy tales that people liked. So Wendell Stevens claimed the Men in Black must have, molested those little girls, not once, but twice, right? Wendell Stevens went to prison for being a child molester. He was still welcome in the UFO community because he told comforting stories about aliens that people just loved. And that is despicable, and that is disgusting. But it set a precedent. You can be one of these predators, and you can get booked at conferences. You could be one of these predators and sell your books. You could be one of these predators and be in documentaries. You know who else used the Men in Black, was responsible for my kitty porn collection excuse? Stan Romanek. And by the way, J3 Films, we're going to talk about that for a moment. J3 Films, who made the documentary about Stan Romanek, who's a kitty porn collector, J3 Films is still actively profiting from and promoting the film about Stan Romanek. Extraordinary. The Stan Romanek story. Yeah. So I just want to comment on the fact that these predators are not seen as predators in the UFO community. These predators are not seen as despicable, disgusting criminals as they should be. These disgusting child-related predators are seen as a source of profit. There is a long and established history of people in the UFO and now the secret space community using these criminals to help them sell fake stories about aliens and UFOs. J3 Films is well aware that Stan Romanek got convicted for for kitty porn. They are still actively promoting a film about him and profiting from it. But what's more disgusting is that a whole bunch of UFO celebrities signed up to be in future films with this company that is right now actively profiting from and promoting the story of Stan Romanek. And I agree, it is extraordinary. It's extraordinary to actively still promote and profit from a film with extraordinary claims of alien contact about a kitty porn collector. And shame on every idiot UFO celebrity, including Richard Dolan and well, I got thrown out of my own stream. Maybe that's the Men in Black. Uh, Besides this J3 Films and all the UFO celebrities who can't wait to work with or for them. And by the way, Richard Dolan and Jimmy Church were fully aware that Stan Romanek got convicted. I believe they were fully aware. Everybody into UFOs knew that Stan Romanek got popped, arrested, and convicted. And by the way, before he was found guilty, he tried to blame his stepson for all the kitty porn images on all his computers. Great guy. Great guy. I believe that Jimmy Church and Richard Dolan were completely and totally aware that Stan Romanek was prosecuted and convicted and in jail for those offenses. And they chose to work with that company after that anyway and make a new documentary with them. I just want to stress that this problem in the so-called UFO community and now in the secret space program community is it's just established. It's just okay. It's just okay. And again, I want to stress the fact that these UFO scammers and grifters don't see these people as predators. They see them as sources of profit. After all, you could imagine, perhaps, if somebody is convicted of those offenses, they have trouble finding a job or have trouble making money. Suddenly, they become the partners in the grift with the grifters selling the fake alien stories. They become the sources. We have seen this multiple times. And I also want to be sure that we mention that the person that I believe started all this and made it all, okay, there's two really. And that would be Crazy Carrie Cassidy from Project Scam-A-Lot. She used Bill Brockbrader, who was a court-martialed child molester. And she knew it at the time. You know who else used that same source? David Wilcock. That was one of David Wilcock's whistleblowers, a court-martialed child molester who is right now on the run. He is a fugitive from justice. Carrie Cassidy used him as a source for fake alien stories to sell. David Wilcock used him as a source for fake aliens to sell. And more people used that man, Bill Brockbrader. Great. And but on to Journey to Truth podcast and on to James Rink. I want to get back to this one Google search point. because I didn't show you all that I found with one Google search. There's more. After doing one Google search, we have the first letter showing that this man was designated to be a level 3 sex offender, the most dangerous type, the worst of the worst. And again, this is one Google search. This is another. They don't just give you one assessment. I believe that they do multiple assessments. This is another level 3 risk assessment. And this one is from Pulaski County. So if he moves from one county to another in the state of Arkansas, they do another assessment. So multiple people whose job and responsibility it is to look at this and do a risk assessment have now classified Robert Sylvester Van Rocks as a level 3, notification level 3, the most dangerous type of sexual predator. One Google search, we found that. One Google search, and we found both those risk assessments for him being a sex offender. This is absolutely ridiculous. James Rink should wear a goddamn clown suit during his broadcasts, and so certainly should Journey to Truth. Now, here's where it gets interesting. As I was showing you, the main speaker, let me share my screen one more time. The main speaker at Journey to Truth's upcoming May 23rd Secret Space Program panel is right in the middle there. That's James Rink. James Rink from Super Soldier Talk, who interviewed the last Predator, as well as Journey to Truth interviewed the last Predator 6 times. James Rink interviewed the last Predator, not this one that I have on the screen. There's so many of them. These guys are using so many Chester to molesters. I'm having a hard time keeping track of it all. So James Rink interviewed the last Predator, that Journey to Truth that we covered in the description of the videos, our previous coverage of Journey to Truth using these predators to sell fake stories. 6 times they interviewed the last one. Journey to Truth did. James Rink interviewed the last one. I'm not sure if it was once or I think it might have been twice. James Rink interviewed the last one. These guys made, I believe, thousands of dollars in monetized YouTube videos using the last Predator to sell their fake secret goddamn space battle stories, right? Made thousands of dollars selling the last child molester as a government whistleblower. And when it comes to the last one, let's be clear, when it comes to the last one, a man named Michael Stephen McDougall, he claimed to be Navy intelligence. No, he's not. He has not provided any records to prove that he was actually in the Navy. So not only are they selling you, Journey to Truth is not only selling you a Chester the molester, convicted pedophile, as a great information source, they're selling you a completely and totally fake government whistleblower. They're on the Journey to Truth with fake whistleblowers that are child molesters that they interviewed six times. All right. Now, this latest one, Journey to Truth, has not interviewed. Let me be very clear about that. That would be our Tier 3 sex offender, Robert Sylvester Van Rocks, who has been assessed multiple times to be the most dangerous form of child-related sexual predator. We saw the claims of this man. He's an astrophysicist. He's an astronaut. He's naval intelligence, he was a naval aviator. I'm unable to find any evidence or proof that those claims are true. So it would appear that the main speaker at the Journey to Truth conference coming up also was selling a completely and totally fake government insider whistleblower who also happens to be another Chester the molester convicted child. Oh, this guy's convicted for child pornography. But friends, if you read these court documents, there's a reason this man got 10 years in prison. There's a reason they threw the book at him. 10 years in prison. One Google search, and James Rink's could have given his audience the truth about that man. Little bit of vetting, and he could have determined whether he really is an astrophysicist, whether he really did work for the government on secret projects, whether he really was in the Navy. He did not do any of that stuff. But don't worry, coming up on the Journey to Truth conference, James Rink is the main speaker. And I am sure that James Rink will have to modify his presentation. But it's very likely that Mr. Rink was going to be including stories from this level 3 super dangerous child predator in his presentation at the Journey to Truth conference and secret space program panel. Because nothing says we're going on a journey to truth like these clowns using multiple child-related sexual offenders to sell people fake stories about aliens and secret space programs. Journey to Truth, you just screwed up 2 months ago. And now you screwed up again because your main speaker is still milking these predators for stories to sell stupid people that watch Journey to Truth. Stupid people who sign up and pay money to listen to clowns like Journey to Truth and clowns like James Rink sell these stories. And now we see where the stories come from. This is a form of fraud, Journey to Truth. This is a form of fraud. Now, I'd also like to share with you, I have just a few more things to share. I apologize. We will get to the live chat when I've concluded tonight's presentation. All right. I have to get into my sent mail. I just want to be sure. Great. So we got a reply from James Rink. We got a reply. Journey to Truth podcast has not given us any reply. I asked both James Rink, let's be very, very clear. I asked James Rink and Journey to Truth to come on tonight's broadcast and answer questions after this presentation, which I'm just now wrapping up. Journey to Truth did not even reply to my emails, but I'll show you what they did do. Journey to Truth, we're going to start calling them Journey to, one second, Journey to, okay, well, thank you. I just want to thank somebody sending me something. Great. So one thing I was wrong on, the second predator does have, we'll include that, that's fine. The second predator does have patents associated with his name. Does this mean he was in the secret space program? I don't think so, but okay. He invented a warning light, an LED module for omnidirectional luminaires, humidifier, a smokeless ashtray, insect control apparatus and method, humidifier including a water filtration device, and a solid-state rotary apparent beacon. So I apologize. Apparently, he did have patents. Doesn't mean he was in the secret space program, though. But, you know, it is what it is. We want to give accurate information, even if it doesn't fit our, you know, view of the story. So one thing is correct. And we will do an update about this man being both an astrophysicist, a naval aviator, and a NASA trained astronaut, apparently. But I wanted to also, one second. So Journey to Truth podcast and James Rink, I invited both of them to be on the broadcast tonight and to answer some questions about their use of these child-related predators in their selling of these stories. Journey to Truth podcast did not reply at all to my email. James Rink gave a very quick excuses sort of answer, which I will share with you in the interest of fairness. Yeah, now I can't find it. 1 second. Oh, here it is. So, though Journey to Truth podcast refused to join me on the broadcast tonight to explain their piss poor, completely disgusting lack of vetting skills and using these predators to sell fake stories, not once, but 6 times, and also this new scandal with James Rink selling stories from child-related predators. So they refused to come on the show. They refused to answer questions that I asked in emails, but they did block me from posting tonight's show on their conference Facebook page and on their podcast Facebook page. But don't worry, guys. I sent other people to post tonight's broadcasts because the customers that are buying tickets to this conference have a right to know what the reality of what you are selling is. Why, if these guys are not doing anything wrong, would they not want people to see tonight's broadcast? Would they not let me post a link to tonight's broadcast in their conference page on Facebook or on their podcast page on Facebook? Is this the journey to truth? Or is this the journey to pedophile cover-up? I'm going to say that one more time, journey to truth. Is this the journey to truth that you're taking people on? Or is this the journey to a pedophile cover-up? That's 2. 2 now. The only people, friends, who fear questions are people with something to hide. They did not reply to my email. They did not agree to come here and answer questions and concerns that many people have about their business ethics and their use of these predators to sell their product. Their product is deception. Their product are child molesters. Stories from child molesters. Do you want to pay good money to go to a conference and hear stories from child molesters? Now, James Rink, however, James Rink did reply. Oh, it's just a cringeworthy reply. But I'm going to share the email. And by the way, thank you. I see that super chat, Richard Crawley. We're going to get to those in just a few minutes when I finish tonight's presentation. I wanted this to be under an hour. We're just about there, friends. So I sent, just to be clear, I sent the same email, slightly worded, changed, to both Journey to Pedo podcast. The Journey to the Pedophile Cover-Up podcast guys who are running the Journey to Pedophile conference. Yeah, I sent them the same list of questions. So much for not saying that word. You just can't. You can't not say it. I mean, what else am I supposed to say? We're gonna have code words. Am I gonna talk in code now? I already can't. This video already can't be monetized. So it is what it is, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the presentation. I said, James, I sent this list of questions to Journey to Truth as well. You are both welcome to be guests on my broadcast tonight after I present my latest findings. Here is a link to tonight's broadcast where I share the results of my latest investigation. It will air at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Here are the questions I sent to Journey to Truth. I'd like on-the-record statements from you about these questions as well. Number 1, were you aware that one of your main speakers just interviewed another convicted child-related sexual predator? James Rink also interviewed the last one, codenamed Navwar. He was never in the Navy, that guy. But he was a convicted child molester, so congratulations. That means you were one of the primary speakers at your conference, has supported and platformed convicted pedophiles at least twice now. Are you supported and you supported and platformed the convicted pedophile 6 times? The next question, why don't you or the speakers you employ vet sources or do background checks to determine if people are pedophiles? What steps do you take to verify your sources' claimed military service or work history and claimed accomplishments. Next question. And this is where it's going to get real interesting, friends, right? Here's the cliffhanger. Be careful answering this question. I was fair. I think it's very fair to warn them. Sometimes, my friends, sometimes it is very, very good. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share that bigger. Sometimes it is very, very wise to ask questions, or sometimes it's wise to ask questions you already know the answer to. And by the way, this next question, I already know the answer. I already know the answer to this next question that I asked these three clowns. And I believe that I was very fair in warning them when I asked this next question, which is, be careful when answering this question. Be careful when answering this question. Very fair of me, I think. And the question is, how many more of the people you, Journey to Truth podcast, or you, James Rink, have interviewed are convicted felons or convicted felon child molesters? Do you think there's more, friends? Do you think that these two are the only two? Well, we will save the results of the answer to that question for a follow-up to tonight's broadcast. I want an answer. I want an answer, an on-the-record answer from James Rink. How many more of the people you, James Rink, have interviewed are convicted felons or convicted child molesters, James Rink? I want an answer. How many more of these guys are there in your stable of fake sources, James Rink? I want an on-the-record answer, Journey to Truth podcast. How many more people that you, Journey to Truth podcast, have interviewed are convicted felons or convicted child molesters or convicted kiddie porn collectors? How many more, Journey to Truth podcast? How many more, James Rink? I want an on-the-record answer. These are questions that you owe everyone. These are questions that demand answers. And I know the answer, James Rink. I know the answer, Journey to Pedo podcast. And if you don't make a statement about this, then very soon we'll do an update and I will give people the answers that you should be giving people. Next question. Why should people attend a conference run by people and speakers who use pedophiles to sell fake stories about aliens and the secret space program? I think that's a fair question. Next question. Is the venue aware that both you and one of your primary speakers at this conference you are running have both used convicted pedophiles to sell provably fake stories? And by the way, I reached out to the venue for comment several times. They didn't call me back. So the venue is aware, Journey to Pedo podcast, that this is what you guys do, and you're going to be using their venue. Next question. Will pedophiles be attending your conference? Are children allowed at your events? Next question. Have you background checked your speakers, staff, and made sure no convicted sexual predators will be speaking or working at your event? I think it's a fair question, given the amount of pedos that these guys are hanging out with. Next question. Given your track record now, why should people trust anything you or your speakers say? That's a fair question. If you're using sources this disgustingly despicable and one Google search will find out the truth about your sources, why should anybody trust anything or especially buy anything from these guys? Next question. I asked, are either of you two, I meant all three of them. I want to know, James Rink, are you a convicted felon or a convicted sex offender, James Rink? Because I'm a little, I hate to say birds of a feather, but why would why would James Rink hang around so many of these guys and pal around with these convicted sex offenders? I'm curious if Mr. Rink, and by the way, I'm just asking the question. I was just asking the question. I'm not implying or accusing him of that. I'm asking the question because he hangs out with so many of these guys. I'm asking, is he also a convicted felon or a convicted sex offender? Yes. And I also would like to know that from Journey to Truth. Are you guys convicted felons? Are you guys Journey to Truth convicted sex offenders? Because people are curious, why do you hang out with these kind of people so much? Or why Journey to Truth are you employing people that use these guys for sources multiple times now? I said, you guys blocked me on from posting show links on Facebook. Not a good look for you. Is it Journey to Truth conference or is the Journey to Cover Up Pedophile Sources conference? I left them with, you can choose to answer my question or choose to ignore them. But either way, I'm running my latest story at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Times tonight. The choice is yours. James Rink sends a reply. And James Rink had this to say. Didn't want to answer any of the questions, though. Notice he didn't answer any of these questions, especially the most important one. The most important question, the one that I demand answers on, is how many more convicted felons are these guys using? How many more convicted sexual offenders are these guys interviewing and using? I know the answer, James Rink. I know the answer, Journey to Truth. I want the answer from you. James Rink says, my goal is to help others learn from others' choices and experiences. If someone is lying, let's bring them on and expose them. I have even interviewed people who committed murder and are now in prison. Yeah. He's on the same grift as Kerry Cassidy. Who's that? The Captain Mark Richards. He's a fraud. The guy claims to go on secret space missions while he's been in jail for 20 plus years. Sadly, most of the community is damaged and broken. You don't have to listen if you don't want to. We can't fix what is not acknowledged. Also, make sure you read my disclaimer. What disclaimer? All right, now we got to, because he gives a disclaimer. It's okay that he interviews convicted pedophiles and sells stories from convicted pedophiles. It's okay. He's got a disclaimer. It's okay, friends. He's got a disclaimer. It's okay to sell stories from these child predators. Just put a disclaimer on it, right? Now, I thought that we should really discuss the overwhelming elephant in the room, and that is that this is not new. Kerry Cassidy did this. Wendell Stevens was used. All of these convicted predators are used as profit sources. Kerry Cassidy did it. People used Wendell Stevens to generate revenue. He had a lot of great alien stories. Who cares if he was a child rapist? Doesn't matter. Let's see. David Wilcock and Kerry Cassidy sold Bill Brockbrader, court-martialed child molester. There's the Stan Romanek example. There's Jan Harzan, who ran the MUFON, right? He was the international director of the Mutual UFO Network, and he got arrested for attempting to have sex with someone he thought was a 13-year-old girl. One moment, please. Somebody is pinging me. I'm not sure if that's important or not, but let me just check in occasionally. Yeah. All right. Not an issue. All right. So there is a long and accepted history of this in the UFO community. And now it's in the secret space program community, which most would argue is kind of an offshoot or part of the UFO community. It's basically, this is just accepted, right? Some people see a convicted child rapist or a convicted pedophile or a convicted kiddie porn ringleader and say, I'm not going to have anything to do with that person. And other people see an opportunity. That guy needs money, and I need fake stories about aliens to sell. Now, one last thing to share, friends, and this is what makes this absolutely positively inexcusable. And that is that during the interview that Mr. Rink did with Metallic Man, also known as the convicted distributor of child pornography, who spent 10 years in prison, the person mentioned it and gave the excuse of the Men in Black doing that to discredit him. He says in the interview that he got arrested for kiddie porn, I think, or child-related offenses, and James Rink doesn't even faze him. Doesn't even faze him. And we're going to put our fair use banner up. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. Lawyer letters are standing by. And we will, one second. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're going to be critiquing the video that we are sharing. We are using this video in a transformative work and in the spirit of fair use to educate the public about the scams being run by secret space program grifters. All right, now let us share. I'm going to share my screen. This is from the actual interview with this man, Robert Sylvester Van Rocks, also known as Metallic Man. All right. Now I've got it queued probably about right.
So it's like a steam engine car.
Yeah, like that. It's really weird. They didn't use gas.
So when you
But
first
they didn't have plastic.
okay, so when you saw that vehicle, what were you thinking? Like, where the heck where am I ended up now? What was going on?
Well, this is during his teleporting adventures.
What?
Oh fuck! Not again. Really, that's the first thing that goes to my mind. Oh fuck! Do I really got to deal with this? Do I really have to today? Do I have to deal with this?
And by the way, just for reference, he's talking about teleporting in and out of different dimensions or time traveling, as best I recall. Coming up, he talks about the Men in Black and the kiddie porn stuff.
For God's sakes!
So how fast was the steam car? It was like what, 12 miles
I
an hour?
think it was like 25.
And look at James Rink. He's laughing and joking around with this clown, right? Great job, James Rink. Great vetting skills. Great Google foo, right? One Google search, you clown.
I have something like that.
Did you ever like say, "Oh, can this thing go any faster?" Were you like that?
It was really weird. It was really weird. Some of this and once was at a world when it was really quiet. Of course, the United States basically is a really quiet place compared to China. It's really basically kind of quiet, really, really, really quiet. And so the
Why
horns
does that have
were
to do
really
with anything?
quiet.
But okay.
The horns were. I mean, it's that you go beep. Yeah, really quiet. This is really, really quiet. This is really, really weird stuff. But like I said, most of the world lines aren't really anything that you can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So what was Majestic using all this world line travel for?
Remember,
for us, for our
he worked for
Okay,
Majestic,
okay.
the child molester, or the kiddie porn distributor.
Majestic traded me and a handful of others in exchange for technology. Okay.
No, so you're a product.
Domain,
You were the product.
yeah. Domain gave Majestic technology access, and Majestic gave us as liaisons or representatives or people to Domain to do with as they will. And then the ELF probes was Majestic monitoring our behaviors. Domain then.
Maybe I would be the first to suggest that maybe somebody should be monitoring his behavior, because apparently his behavior involves the collection and distribution of child pornography.
To help us stay.
By the way, if somebody was trying to frame you for that, would you just plead guilty to it and go do 10 years in prison? Because that's what he's claiming here, that he was framed for that by the Men in Black, right? By Majestic. But he pled guilty. I have the court documents.
Able or to assist them in stabilizing the world. And that was our role. Now, Majestic retired all of us around 2004, 2005. In my program, I won't say Majestic ended, but I will say my aspect ended in 2004, 2005. And at that point in time, the ELF probes were shut off and I was retired. EBP is for the rest of my life, and that's still going on. And I've already completed all my mission objectives.
He's completed his mission objectives, but he didn't really talk about his 10 years in prison after pleading guilty for being a distributor of disgusting images of children depicting sexual acts. But, you know, hey.
Okay. So why
completed his
did
mission.
Majestic release you? Did your contract come to an end, or was there some?
No, they closed the program.
Okay.
That was it. It's
And-
closed
and-
the program.
Did they force you to sign a bunch of documents?
Oh, no. Let me tell you something. You know what? Do you know how unacknowledged special access program operatives are retired? There's 3 ways. They kill you, they disable you, or they imprison you as a sex offender. Those are the 3 ways. Okay?
And here we are.
They did all 3 with me. They tried to kill me. When that didn't work, they tried to disable me. When that didn't work, they threw me in prison in hard labor. Okay? Me and the rest of Majestic went to China. Those of us who could run, we ran to China. Other ones went to Finland. We got a couple here who's...
And that brings me to our last point, which is that this person has what I would... I'm right now in the middle of a live broadcast, Mr. Ian. This person is apparently living in China, but not only is he living in China, he is distributing Chinese propaganda. This man is a distributor of Chinese propaganda. He's pushing Chinese propaganda while he's apparently living in China. So not only are these clowns platforming a convicted distributor of child pornography, they are also platforming a person who is actively and deliberately, I'm assuming, distributing Chinese propaganda, anti-American Chinese propaganda in some cases. It could be that this man has some ties to Chinese intelligence organizations of some type, or that he's a useful idiot bobo, right? Here we have heard him, we saw on his book page on Amazon, he claimed that he was in prison for a crime he did not commit. However, he pled guilty. There was a guilty plea entered. He entered it. And as is often the case, this man got 10 years in prison after throwing himself on the mercy of the court and pleading guilty. Imagine if he went to a jury trial, what prison sentence he might have got. And then imagine how disgusting, deplorable, and serious this man's crimes must have been to garner him a sentence of 10 years in prison. And that, my friends, will conclude our presentation this evening. Now, I want to apologize for my lack of interaction with the live chat. However, these are very serious matters, and I thought it best if we just get through the presentation. I am right now scrolling through all of the live chat so far, and we will read some super chats. And then, but I promise you, as soon as we can read these super chats, I will address comments or questions from anyone in the live chat. And I also want to be clear on something, because someone threw some shade about, oh, you have to send him a super chat to get his attention to ask him a question. No, you don't. The content that we create here is now and will always be free. It may be ad supported. Usually, tonight's won't be because of the subject matter cannot be monetized on YouTube. But don't worry, James Rink still has his monetized interview with this man on his Super Soldier Talk YouTube channel, and it's monetized. Isn't that great? But I cannot earn ad revenue for giving you the truth, but James Rink can earn ad revenue for lying to you with fake so-called government whistleblowers with this kind of criminal history. And Journey to Truth podcast can make money and have their videos monetized while they're selling you fake stories from the previous pedo that we caught them using 6 times. They made 6 monetized videos. 6 times they made monetized videos and earned ad revenue with a convicted pedophile. But I can't earn ad revenue while I'm giving you the truth. But Journey to Truth podcast can earn ad revenue while they're lying to you. And again, I want to be very clear in this. I don't blame YouTube for this situation, but I do think that someone from YouTube should look into this situation. At the very least, these channels that are doing this should be penalized the ad revenue they earn using these deceptive practices. At least take the money back from them, YouTube. And I also want to be clear in that I'm not complaining about doing tonight's broadcast with a lack of ad revenue. I understand that advertisers may not want their ads playing on a broadcast of this kind of serious nature topic. I'm a business person myself, and I had to be honest with myself in saying I wouldn't want my ads on maybe unless I ran a background search company, I wouldn't want my ads on a broadcast of this type. So I don't blame YouTube, but I want to make it very clear in that sometimes what we do here is a public service, and tonight is one of them. And it is through the generosity and support of the viewers here that we are able to still do this. Ad revenue or not, the viewers are supporting me doing this truthful investigatory work that needs to be done. I feel very strongly somebody's got to do this. And if nobody else will do it, let it be me. So it is what it is. And I just want to mention, I want to thank Matt R., who is a former member of law enforcement. He is the person who brought me this story. It was a major source for me uncovering this. And we want to thank him for his courage to do the right thing. He sort of runs in this whole circle of UFOs and the secret space program people. And he became aware of this because he did one Google search for the person's name. I got the court documents, and someone else helped me, another source, which we want to thank and acknowledge, to get the court documents and the records. And I'd also like to thank the court clerk of, I believe it was Judge Wright, who handled the original case, who gave me a lot of information, including the disposition of that man's case, the fact that, and confirmation that he was arrested for these offenses, he pled guilty to these offenses, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So we'll read the super chats quickly. We want to thank Richard Crawley for a kind and generous $2.79. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And I also want to apologize, but due to the seriousness of this broadcast and the subject matter, we won't be using our cash clown tonight. Richard Crawley with another one, very generous of you, $13.99 Canadian, says, Stephen, I am almost a year Patreon subscriber, and thank you for all you do. The first time I watched you, I knew your power in telling the truth. Rock on. Well, thank you. I want to thank Richard Crawley for multiple things, for always being a big supporter of the show. He's a longtime show supporter. I'm glad he found us. Every time a really great show supporter finds us, it makes me smile, because I know that I'm just not alone here. I'm not alone here. I'm alone in this room, but I'm not alone in the battle for this truth. I'm not alone in the battle for, a little bit of ethics and integrity in this thing. I'm not alone in the struggle. I'm not alone in my search for the truth. People like Richard Crawley are here with me, and I thank you, all of you, for that. Steve Nicholson with kind and generous $5. Never mind UFO scams. Good looking out for the kids, Stephen. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Steve Nicholson, a big show supporter, always there to lend a hand, and we appreciate your kindness, generosity, and support very much. Kimball Mortensen with kind and generous $4.99 says, Stephen, this is UFO Shane. Your haircut is handsome and laudable. Joseph Smith Jr. saw aliens. Okay. And just so people are aware, UFO Shane runs these spaces and has been asking me to do these Twitter spaces, but I haven't had time. I'm going to try and make time. Give me a list of the schedule of the spaces, Mr. UFO Shane, and I will be in one of them. And I will also be bringing UFO Shane here in here as a guest. And we thank him for his kindness, generosity, and support. I'm going through the live chat here to see if there was any more. I saw that, but we're gonna save that for another time, Dawn Richardson. But thank you for your kindness in letting me know that. And Matt R., I have a part 2 coming. I mentioned this very important question that I asked, which is how many more of these guys have you guys interviewed? I know the answer. And we're going to do a part 2 of this. And there's already 2 parts. So this is part 3 of the whole series of the Journey to Pedo podcast, people. Journey to Pedo conference, people. We're going to do another part, but I want to give them an opportunity. I demand an answer to this very important question from Journey to Truth podcast and from James Rink of Super Soldier Talk. How many more convicted felons, how many more convicted child molesters or convicted kiddie porn distributors have you interviewed? The 3 of you. I want an answer. Everyone wants an answer, including people who are paying good money to attend your conference. They want to know, how many more is there? How many more is there? Journey to Truth. How many more is there? James Rink. So we'll be doing an additional broadcast on that issue. And I want to caution them that they better be very careful in how they answer that question, that very important question. Now, I mentioned the super chats, and I believe we read them all, but I'm going to check in just to make sure that I didn't miss them. I apologize. I want to make sure also that I address that issue with somebody throwing some shade, saying you have to send money and get his attention and ask a question. No, you don't. But I am visually impaired. And so what I ask people to do is, if you have a comment or question that you would like for me to read on air or share on the screen, I'm happy to do that. But please put that question or comment in all capital letters. It makes it much easier for me to look over and see you want me to share that. I have something called third nerve palsy, or a lazy eye, commonly called. So I have difficulty with depth perception and seeing the small text. You really are helping me. If you want me to read a question from you, I'm happy to do that. And there, by the way, as far as somebody throwing shade, there are various times in the show where I will do nothing for an hour but read questions and comments from people that aren't sending super chats. So everyone, has equal access. It's just, if you send a super chat, it's a little easier to notice with that big yellow banner, right? Or colored banner, and it's bigger, but it's not pay to play here. So you are all free to ask whatever questions you would like to. 1 second. All right, 1 second. Oh, I got nervous for a second here. I'm just going to go over the super chats real quick and make sure that I No, I did miss some. I missed one. I missed a super sticker somehow. I missed, you know what? I'm just going to share this on the screen. And I want to make sure also that we are aware and understand that I read every single super chat. And if I miss one, I apologize, and I will correct that on the next show if I do happen to miss it. But we have a super sticker from Tiff-tastic for $2.99. Thank you. We got the two from we missed one from Richard Crawley. And by the way, I apologize. Sometimes it doesn't let me go all the way back in the chat, and I will miss one. Richard Crawley with the 279 says, "Good job, Stephen. Best wishes on your CD." Yeah, and in better news, and so we got them all. Thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. And in better news, I did want to just mention that I have been working on a sort of resurgence of music for quite some time now. And I decided that I hold many things too close to my chest. I have a huge bunch of songs that I have recorded, mixed, mastered, and never released. For whatever reason, life gets in the way sometimes of these things. But I'm trying to correct that. So this Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be at the cabin, but I'll also be in the live chat, hopefully with a lot of you. This Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I will debut my new album, The Phoenix Files. And I do ask you to join me in the live chat for the world premiere of this music album, my first in many years. And I will be dropping the links to that shortly, but I would like to welcome all of you. You are all most welcome. Please do come, and I'll be in the live chat to hang out with you guys, answer questions. It's sort of like an old school CD release party, except it is virtual. But I will be in the live chat with all of you, all 10 of you who may show up. But hey, I'm putting it out there. And I also wanted to mention that I have an entire series of albums coming. When I started going through what I call the vault, John Greenwald has the black vault. I have a silver vault. It's actually a safe, but I put all the masters on hard drives, on thumb drives. I have like 10 copies of each mastered song because it's so difficult to record, mix, and master a good song that when I finally finish one, I make 10 backups and stick it in there. So we started going through the vault, and there's hundreds of songs that I've never released. And many of them I was proud of that I didn't even remember how good some of them were. So this first one is, The Phoenix, Rising from the Ashes. It's been many years since I've had an album to sell. Or an album to promote. This is the first one in quite some time. The Phoenix Files, this Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be at the cabin, but I'll be partying with all of you, celebrating the beginning of the release of an entire series of albums. And I really hope you'll join me. We'll have a good time. All right, so comments or questions from me, we'll put them in all capital letters. All right, I got the one about Matt R. Any questions or comments for me? PayPal. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. You wonderful PayPal pledgers. We want to thank you guys for your kindness, generosity, and support. In the description of the video, if not super chat, especially if you're sending a large pledge, I always tell people, please send it through PayPal. YouTube takes 30%, and the PayPal takes just a tiny little bit. So, we want to thank Sweet Caroline for a kind and generous $40 PayPal pledge. Sweet Caroline is the MVP of PayPal pledges. And Sweet Caroline says, fantastic show last night with Miss Emily Louise. Need her to come back again for sure. Level 3 Sex Creeper sounds like another good t-shirt merch. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to make t-shirts like that. But I appreciate the humor about this kind of stuff. Thank you very much, Sweet Caroline, for your kindness, generosity, and support. I appreciate your constant support. She's the MVP of PayPal pledges. And in fact, I just want to tell you, sweet Caroline, not because you send the money, but because when I see you, you remind me I have to check the PayPal. And before I end the show, I always think of you and think I have to check the PayPal. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and long-term support. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it immensely. Blacklisted with a kind and generous £5 super sticker. We want to thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. I appreciate it very, very much. UFO Shane says, damn, €5 is like $300 US. Yeah, it's getting there. The inflation is killing us over here. We are dying a slow death. Foxy's Friends is here. B. Baker says, please give Erica a sub and follow. She does great research with her co-host, Jack Brewer. Yes, and I just thank you, Erica Lukes. I saw Erica Lukes is in the live chat. Shout out to Erica Lukes. I want to thank Erica Lukes because I reached out to Erica. We want to have Erica back as well. Erica is great. And I miss you, Erica Lukes. So come back. I'm lonely here by myself, right? You should come on the show soon. But I did recently reach out to Erica Lukes. We're going to have Jack Brewer come on and do a better job than I did at explaining this Skinwalker money grab with the local community, paying them for consulting fees and all of this stuff. They did an incredible investigative journalism piece on that. And yes, you should. And thank you, Erica, by the way, for getting me in touch. I will send Jack an email. And we do want to encourage you. B. Baker says, please give Erica a sub and follow. She does great research with her co-host, Jack Brewer. And Jack Brewer will be here soon, I think. So thanks to Erica for that. Those guys do good, great work. There's so few people I recommend, but please stay a good guy, Erica Lukes. There's so few of us left here. You and Jack are doing a good job. Maybe I should sneak back into this next conference, except in a top hat and a mustache like a guy incognito on The Simpsons. Yes, Matt R. This is a good question. Randy, 1979, Vice Admiral Tiger says, if that Vanox guy is a level 3 offender, why is he on Rink's gross show? I don't know. Wesley Snipes says a certain scammer is going to be getting jealous with these donos you got this week, Stephen. LMFAO. Yeah, let him cry. Oh, and by the way, that does also remind me. I'm going to figure out how to say this. So I just want to say it correctly. Despite how angry that I have gotten at some of these people in the UFO community, despite my absolute contempt for many of them, despite the fact that I think many of them should be in a prison, not standing on a UFO conference stage, despite all of my negative emotions and my sometimes incredibly vocal stance and attacks. Let's be clear, I have really verbally assaulted some of these scammers, grifters, and people that I think are on the take. I have been very vocal. I have been very aggressive. Aggressive is a fair word. I have been very, very, some people might say I've been nasty to some of these grifters and people that we cover, people that I consider to be modern day snake oil salesmen. But despite all I feel about how despicable some of these people are, I have not ever and will never attack somebody's wife, children, relatives. It's irrelevant. I will say one thing though. If their wife is helping them with the grift or the scam, then she's on the table. I won't be attacking the wife, but we can talk about a wife that is helping their husband sell fake stories. That's perfectly acceptable. But attacking, no matter how pissed off anybody gets at anybody, I come from the mean streets of Philadelphia, and I don't know where some of these people grew up, but they need to get punched in the face more, I think, because where I grew up, if you have a beef with a guy, you have a beef with the guy. That's it. You don't attack his girlfriend. You don't attack his wife. You don't attack his sister. You don't attack his mother or his father. If you have a beef with a guy, you attack him. Take it to him. And it would seem that some stupid people think that it's perfectly acceptable to attack the wives of people that he's angry at, attack the family of people that he's that he's angry at for whatever grievances, perceived, real, or imagined. I just want to say that attacking somebody's wife, children, or family, especially on a public YouTube video, is not only immoral and unethical, I think it's despicable. I think it's absolutely despicable to bring somebody's wife into some beef or disagreement that you have with somebody. I'll never do it. And I just wanted to offer my apology, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'll apologize. I said some very unkind and rude things to Brandon Fugel when we covered the Skinwalker Ranch story. Now, I didn't talk about the guy's wife or family or anything. I kept my disagreement with him between us. And for those unaware, Brandon Fugel is the owner of the Skinwalker Ranch, star of history's television show, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. I said some unkind things to him. Oh, and that's my other point. I said some personally insulting, unkind things to him. And I did so because I was angry and upset for whatever reason. I think I was angry and upset because I had asked him some very respectful questions on Twitter, and he blocked me. And to be quite honest with you, I like following Brandon Fugel on Twitter. I like seeing what he's tweeting. And I was pissed off because I didn't think that I did anything wrong. But for whatever I said, whatever I did, I just want to offer Mr. Fugel my support. First, my apology for what I said. I really am going to try to not be as personally insulting on this show. It's just not me really anymore. Now, it's a live show and things can get heated here, and I'll probably pop off again. Like, I'm human, and I tend to run pretty hot-headed. Much less hot-headed since I quit drinking some time ago, though, and many people have noticed and commented on that. I'm a little more even-tempered, and it takes a lot more for me to pop off. I'm getting off in the weeds here. So recently, somebody viciously and really ridiculously nastily attacked Brandon Fugel and his wife, said all kinds of sexual comments about this guy's wife and all of these really despicable, disgusting things. And I just wanted to comment on that and say that is the move of a child, or, that's not a man. A man does not attack a woman. A man does not attack the wife of someone that he has a disagreement with. I mean, in my neighborhood, if you did that, you'd probably get murdered, like, Philly's no joke. So you just learn growing up, you don't attack their girlfriend. You don't attack their wife. You keep the beef between you. Some people didn't do that. And I don't even know what else to say, but in one stream, some idiot attacked this guy's wife, used disparaging comments about gay people. There was like 10 YouTube policy violations in one video. And then the guy's so dumb that he only cut out him saying the F word, the disparaging word for a homosexual. And he apparently left in all the stuff about, Mr. Fugel's wife. So I just wanted to say that person also viciously and nastily attacked my wife and talked about sex kind of stuff and my wife's tits and stuff. Same guy who did it to Brandon Fugel did this to Brandon Fugel last night, also did this to me and my wife. And by the way, I just want to offer somebody a bit of advice. My wife is from Kensington. Look it up. My wife can certainly take care of herself. And I just thought it was so funny that this guy was attacking my wife, because my wife could literally beat the snot out of that clown herself. She wouldn't need me. She would not need me. She would knock that guy's teeth out in about 5 seconds. She's a tough lady. Based on where we grew up, she was raised that way to be tough. Women in Kensington they fight just as much as the men. I'm not kidding you. There's fist fights among women in Philadelphia and Kensington when we were growing up, like every day, and in Port Richmond, where I later lived. Anyway, my point was, I'm going to try to be a little fairer, even to people like Brandon Fugel, who I think are misleading people and making a lot of money with pseudoscience nonsense and claims of the paranormal. I'm going to try to be a little fairer to him. And I felt a certain kind of way towards him, like that I should be supportive of him, because he is now going through the same thing I went through when that clown was saying all this nonsense about my wife. By the way, that same clown also attacked my children, my dead father, my disability. Nobody knows why he's still on YouTube, but don't worry, that may change. Yes, Stephen Nicholson is commenting, Steve's rules, thou shalt not attack the wife of a grifter. Yeah. Fugel's minions use my domestic abuse to try and discredit me. Yeah, well, I'm also aware of that situation. And I fully support you, Erica. And I can talk to you more off air about what it is that actually happened. And if I play you the clip of what this person said about Brandon Fugel's wife, you'd understand why I was being at all sympathetic towards him. It's really bad, Erica, like worse than what did he say about my wife? He said this guy said, the same guy who attacked Brandon Fugel's wife, Erica Luke, said that I met my wife in a strip club, that my wife was the girl with the big jugs that I made dance in my intro. He said I bought my wife a boob job and all this other stuff. And that's pretty bad, Erica Lukes, to say that about somebody's wife. But he said 100 times worse things about Brandon Fugel's wife. So that's why I'm offering a little bit of support and being a little more sympathetic than I usually would. B. Baker says, no woman, no kids, Leon the professional. I think we can absolutely disagree with people's research methods and not be personal. Hopefully they will do the same. You know, I lost something here. Oh, here it is. All right. So any more comments or questions from me, please put them in the live chat in all capital letters. We are arguing against that. Kindness isn't always returned, but what can you do? Yeah, I mean, I said a lot of very unkind things about Brandon Fugel. I admit that. And I stand by most of what I said, except for the one really disparaging comment that I made because he blocked me or whatever. You know, I don't even think Brandon Fugel knows who the hell I am. So the guy's a busy guy. He's a billionaire. But it is what it is. We both had our wives attacked by the same internet idiot. So, you know, I thought that I should mention it and tell him that, you know, that I'm sorry that happened to him and his wife, because we've been through it here. But like I said, what he said about Brandon Fugel's wife is 100 times worse than what he said about my wife. That is just plain awful, Erica. Sorry that happened. That's not right. I agree. Matt R says, all this worship of Skinwalker Ranch portal when we absolutely have a portal in Chicago. Leave it to Matt R to bring us right back to conspiracy crazy. I love you, Matt R. The Mothman types are using it like a revolving door and not doing anything scary or negative. Although they're causing car crashes, my gosh, your Philly rules of conduct are very similar to our Halifax rules of conduct. Yeah. And if you don't adhere to the rules of conduct in Philadelphia, you get your head smashed in, right? You get murdered. If you attack somebody's girlfriend or wife in the neighborhood I'm from, you really might end up, you know, missing. You know what I mean? They'll take you down to South Philly, Richard Crawley. They'll never find you. You know what I mean? They just take you down to South Philly, maybe over to Jersey, get a shovel on the way, right? Get some lime. They would never find you, you know? But you learn not to attack people's wives or people's children or people's mom or people's dad, especially when they're deceased. Ooh. It's not legal for me to fly a drone in most places. They just fly around. Unfair. Okay. Mark D. Truthseeker says, Brandon is a hoaxer and there should be no appeasement to him. Defend the wife, disavow the comments, but don't defend Brandon. Well, that's fair. Yeah. And I stand by all of our coverage of Skinwalker Ranch. See, I'm doing it already. I am just saying that it's not right that somebody attacked his wife. It doesn't matter what he's doing. Go after him. Don't attack the wife. Leave the wife out of it. She probably has no idea what is all this stuff. Patty Wilhelm says, Miss Cambia, you go, girl. Do you know, Patty Wilhelm, my wife was once in a concert where I was performing, and she was right at the front of the stage, and some guy tried to put his hands on her, put his hands on her. And he was huge. He was a big, huge, biker guy. She knocked the shit out of this guy. And then all his friends made fun of him. But luckily, the guy, he laughed it off. I jumped over as soon as I saw it was happening. It was over, though. My opinion is that he is one of the most dangerous frauds in ufology right now. Well, certainly one of the most influential. And we are going to revisit all of these issues because we're going to be doing more stories on Skinwalker. I'm not letting up on him. I'm not letting up on any of that, Mark. All I'm saying is I support him in that no one should attack his wife. No matter what he's doing, no matter what sins people think he, committed, no one should attack his wife. Ever, ever, ever. Oh, God, Matt R. Okay, we're going to do a show on the portal. Yes, Goofon said the F word slur against gay people multiple times about him. Not cool. Yeah, John P. Adventure says, in our rules in Portugal, it's called common sense and respect, right? Yeah, the rules in Philly are simple, too. That's where I'm from, Rican, and because you're from Philly, right? You don't mess with somebody's girlfriend or wife. You could end up dead, right? Yes, Algaray, he is. That's Matt R., who was also the law enforcement source for this story, so we thank him very much. We'll have him come back on a future show. Yes, West Snipe is still waiting for the cigar smoking dogs. You know what I really want to do, West Snipes? I want to get a dog mask I can smoke through, and I want to get a plane ticket, and I want to hang out at that front gate of the Skinwalker Ranch and just smoke cigarettes all day and film it. Dreams. Goals. You got to have dreams and goals, Wesley Snipes. And yes, Randy 1979. I don't even want to say his name. I didn't want to say it once, but I did. That is the person I'm talking about who attacked Brandon Fugel's wife, but I don't want to say his name. Thanks for the good night, Stephen. All the best. You're welcome, Richard Crawley. And I know you will, Stephen. I loathe the Fugel fraud taking place on people right now. I know a lot of people are unhappy. Yeah, a lot of people are unhappy. And Mr. Fish says, I just updated my list of places never ever to visit. Thank you. Thanks for giving me a laugh, and thanks for being a member. We appreciate it. So we're going to wrap things up here, friends. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, especially for tonight's very important broadcast. We want to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, you super chatters. I want to also thank you, PayPal pledgers, Patreon supporters, channel members, Twitch subscribers, and more. We thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. This is a viewer-supported show. If you're watching a replay, you can still throw a couple of bucks in our hat, hit that super thanks button, and send any amount you wish. We thank all of you who are doing that. I've seen an increase in that lately, and that's a great thing. So we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also want to thank Mr. Ian. That new introduction that you saw was built by him with the AI systems that we are developing. So I'm proud to say, as of tonight, Truthseekers is officially powered by artificial intelligence by Ian. We want to thank Spooky for the graphics. Well, Spooky's on vacation, but thanks anyway. And we want to thank all of you for joining us. We had great attendance tonight. Sometimes when we do these shows, nobody shows up because it's not, some story about aliens that they really want to hear. But I think that this is a story about aliens and the secret space program that everyone should hear. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Again, we'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But before I go, I just want to let you know that this story is reality. This is the ugly truth that we have brought you. And what the Journey to Truth podcast is selling you is a fantasy, is a deceptive illusion. They have no truth to give you, but they've got something. They have no truth that they can tell you, but they've sure got something to sell you. Same for James Rink. James Rink has no truth to tell you, but he has something to sell you. And these guys are getting rich using convicted pedophiles as profit sources. I say no more. No more. No more of this. And I will reiterate as we end the broadcast my very important question for James Rink of Super Soldier Talk. My very important question for Journey to Truth podcast. How many more convicted felons or convicted sexual predators or convicted kiddie porn distributors or convicted child molesters have you interviewed? We demand answers. Everyone wants you to answer that very important question. And if you refuse to do it, I'm going to answer that question for you. And the ugly truth will get a whole lot uglier. Well, friends, that's all we have for you tonight. So get those good night and good well wishes ready. Those of you who are veterans know, but as we play our outro bumper, I always play everybody's well wishes and good night wishes in the live chat. We want to thank our Rumble chat, our Twitch chat, our Facebook Live viewers, our Twitter Live viewers, and of course you there in the YouTube live chat for being here tonight. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you, especially you, Journey to Truth podcast, and your pedo friends, especially you, James Rink, and your pedo friends. And may God have mercy on your soul, because I won't.